Hello, that's me, Nasreen. I'm half Moroccan, half Mexican, which some may say is my personality trait. I started my education off at a small elementary school being the quiet, timid girl who stuck with a small group of friends. And while some may say not much has changed, I'm here to prove to you that I quite in fact have. And today I'm going to show you how I went from this to this in a span of 4 years. Let me explain. I received the DMSF scholarship back in 2017 that changed my life forever because that's where I found GCE. GCE, a school where I was able to express myself for once and share my passions with a diverse group of students. A school where I found friends who supported one another and were genuine inside and out. And that for me sums up the first year at GCE. Second year, the year of exploration is what I like to call it. It was a year me and my friends will always remember as a year to figure ourselves out and figure out what we liked. I was surrounded by friends and we would spend Valentine's Day at Steak and Shake and Christmas get-togethers at Timony's house. Big moment Jeanette and I will never forget is being able to work on Aaron's AP and the OC for 2 hours and listening to a band that we would soon obsess over.
Punch the wall.
I remember recapping my summer in Morocco and visiting a city that would change my life forever in the next few years that I didn't quite know about at that time. I remember joining SCN, which was a refugee network that I had joined due to my interest in medicine for a while from an FE that we took to an exhibition hosted by Doctors Without Borders. Did all my research only to find out that med school was not for me. But guess what was? Business. This was the year that I turned my dreams into an independent study with my STEAM teacher, Aaron. The idea of starting my own clothing line where I would claim half of my identity through clothing to an online platform of people who shared the same interest as me and the same background as me sounded so cool. I had seen the same ideas for Palestinian, Jordanian, and Syrians around the world, but nothing for the Maghreb region, so I decided to start my own. As a person who wasn't really hands-on from the start, I will tell you that completely changed this last semester of my sophomore year. I went from creating graphic designs to physical screen printers with Hue to networking at events like LTAB where I shared a poem talking about my name and my Moroccan identity, which allowed me to perform for events like I Heart Halal, where I met really cool people, and I actually met the woman that inspired me to start the whole thing, as well as Algerian Americans who were living in Chicago. This independent study changed my life for good, and it keeps getting better as the years go by. That spring, I spent my spring break in Puerto Rico, where I was able to work with members of the art community in Puerto Rico to create some sculptures and art pieces for public parks around the Dorado area. At the end of the year, I presented my brand to a group of students at Beacon Academy who were learning about the Moroccan identity, and that basically sums up the sophomore year. Third year, a year like no other. 2020 was the year that quote-unquote changed my life. I know it sounds cliche, but it was a time that everyone put their life on pause to take a break and reflect on all the good moments that they had in their lives that were suddenly taken away from them due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I spent my days in class while also taking nice long walks around my neighborhood and trying to soak all the good in and look at the world around me, nature. Those moments that I kept to myself were moments that I will always remember. Summer was a bit different. I was surrounded by the same group of people, but every event held a different memory that I will never forget. Each moment was so picturesque that I can't quite tell if it's due to appreciating the moments right in front of me or if it was simply just like that. I missed reconvening with Timony and Georgette and would look at our memories together. We finally came together for my 18th birthday. I met someone so special to me that year. It's funny how you could meet someone who could change your life in the middle of a pandemic, but I'm so glad that I did. And that, for me, sums up the third year. Not just any year, but a year that I am so grateful for. Year 4. I started off my 4th year working on room and grip orders that I had yet to complete. I was scrambling to get them all out, realizing that I need to work on my time management, but that didn't stop me from starting a new project. No manches, baby. A project that I wanted to start to give back to my Mexican side because I felt that I was too Moroccan and my Mexican side wasn't being embraced as much as I wanted it to be. Mixed girl problems. No Manches Bebe allows me to connect with a community of femme Mexican artists that inspire me to embrace my roots and my gender anywhere I go. I saw my besties again for Valentine's Day, which was the nicest day just to sit down and see all 4 of us in a room again. 2021 was a year for reflection. I spent a lot of my time not only working on college applications, but off to the side. But not in a bad way, in a way that I wanted to just take it all in. I realized that we weren't going back to school the same way that others may have wanted it to be. And I really just wanted to take that time to reflect on my experiences at GCE for the years and admire all the work that I had done for myself. Yes, for myself. That's my point. I can't live my life for other people. I made a promise to myself. I think for some time before GCE and going into my years at GCE, I wanted to give it my all to be satisfied with grades and put something down on a resume or application. And while that sounds nice, it's draining at times. I realized that the moments that I felt the best in were the moments that I was dedicating time for myself. Starting projects on my own because I wanted to start them. Getting to know people from around the world because who and what's stopping me from doing that. Learning about myself in ways that I didn't know about before and realizing how I wanted to spend my life because it's my life. Someone once told me, I like to sit at a coffee shop or pub by myself, have a drink, and just think. And I said, why? What do you mean, why? You dedicate so much time in one day for others, it would be selfish of you not to give some time for yourself. I said I couldn't imagine just spending time with myself like that alone. But he said to me, we don't want to spend time with ourselves because we are uncomfortable with what truth we might discover within ourselves. And I stood there, and that thought never left my mind. So I spend time with myself now. And I sure have learned quite a bit. One of my favorite people, Damon Dominique, once said, I was surrounded by people telling me to do something realistic, and I was like,
it's only unrealistic till it's realistic, and it's never gonna be realistic until there's somebody who's their own biggest cheerleader first, which is yourself. There's a reason there's innovation and creativity in the world, and it's because people are willing to break the rules and step outside of what everyone has told them to do.
And that's why I'm moving abroad after my bachelor's degree. I realized that I want to live my life paying for big moments, for me to look outside my window and see people dancing flamenco in the streets, going out to find coffee shops filled with people for the soccer match, being surrounded by different languages and people who admire their lives just as much as me. I know finding that abroad will allow me to find the happiness that I want when I have bigger life moments like getting married, buying a house, raising my children, and focusing on a career I've always wanted to build for myself. It will take some time to get there, but that's what it took for me to get to where I needed to be, to start my business at the age of 16, meet people from around the world, connect with artists, learn about my business, and work on a program at UFC, etc. I'm sure that I can work a little harder to get where I want to be for myself. And lastly, I want to thank GCE for setting up a mentality of global citizenship to allow me to set up a path of success for my future. I owe this all to you, and I will be back sometime to pay it all back. Thank you guys so much for giving me this opportunity and allowing me to learn a piece of myself that I had never even connected with before. Thank you all so much.